Okay, you're gonna, there's two ways you can get this on your desktop. You can either take a screenshot with Command-Shift-4 and drag a box over the file. The other way you can do it is click these three dots and say open in a new window and then download it. So this is a couple more steps, but and then we're going to open that in Illustrator. So you can just drag it right in to Illustrator. So we're going to be opening this window, and to get this open, you're going to go up to Window, Pathfinder, and I'm going to put this off to the side. Over here on my layers, I'm going to lock this layer that I just dragged in. Actually, before I lock it, if you click on it with the black arrow to select it, come up to the top and put the opacity at 80%, which is going to make it just a little bit, actually, let's see, maybe 70%, make it a little bit lighter, and you'll see how your layer, so we're going to create a new layer on top, will be more visible when you start to draw on top of it. So I'm going to click New Layer, which is this sticky note icon. The layer below is locked so that things don't move around when I start to click on them, because things will automatically get selected if you click something and there's something behind it. So I'm going to start with the Mickey Mouse icon. I'm going to hold Shift before I start drawing my ellipse so I get a perfect circle. So holding Shift will give you a perfect circle, and I'm going to align that here. I'm going to pick a color so you can see it a little better. If you don't see your colors pop up, you can hold Shift and click and you'll get the whole spectrum. I'm going to make the opacity of this a little bit lighter so I can see through and line up my circles properly. For this one I didn't hold Shift because I think the ears are not a perfect circle. Maybe they are, I'm not sure. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So you're going for pretty close to accurate. So you can see I just came over here and I clicked off of the circle. I went to my selection tool, which is the black arrow. Now I'm just going to select that ear, copy it, and paste it so I have the same size and I don't have to mess around with the size again. Okay, so now that I have my three objects, we can combine those using this Pathfinder box. I'm going to click and drag to draw a box over them and select the whole thing. And now this first one, we're only going to use the first two, is Unite. The second is subtract to the front, or minus the front. So now I click Unite, and now there's just one continuous line on the outside. Or the perimeter, I should say. So now I'm just going to move that off next to the Mickey Mouse so I can see the original and then my version. So with the cloud, you would do the same thing. You would click and drag and just fill up the whole inside of this with circles, and then maybe the bottom with a rounded rectangle. So I'm going to do this fairly quickly. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I'm trying to get this circle over here selected because I want to get rid of that gap. I'm going to make it a little bigger. All right, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to select it all. And again, I'm going to go to Unite. Now for this one, there's a pretty thick border over here. So I'm going to come up to my stroke. Again, I'm going to hold Shift if I don't see my options coming up. I'm going to pick a color. And then I'm going to increase the stroke so it matches that thickness, or is approximately that thickness. Okay, I might change my fill too. All right. So I'm going to move on to this one. Actually, I should do this one. So the circle, this one is just a whole bunch of layers stacked on top of each other. And again, you want to hold shift. And for this, I want you to build this icon using no fill. So you would get rid of your fill. Then I would choose the eyedropper. This is a color matcher, so I can click on this red. And now I have the red of the original logo up here in my fill. And I'm going to swap these so that it's the stroke with the color instead of the fill. I'm going to put that. So you can just layer this one and you do not have to use the Pathfinder for this. But what you can do is once you have this selected, you can copy it and paste it. Bring it over and then just shrink it down and change the color of it. I guess we can do the red first. So there are multiple ways you can do this. I mean, I could add the blue fill right now. Up here, I could add the blue fill. So if I come up, so I'm going to get my eyedropper. Good. I got the fill. And then for some reason it got rid of my red outline. So I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to pick a red. Increase the stroke so you can actually see it. And I want it to be that red. And I'm going to click off of it right now because it keeps defaulting to a different blue. So now I'm going to go, or to a no fill it's defaulting to. I'm going to make the circle back here. Then over on my layers, which have disappeared, I'm going to come up to window layers to get them back. Oh, they must be somewhere. Oh, here it is. I'm just going to drag the blue circle below the red. There we go. And then to get the star in the middle, you're going to go to your shape tool, and you have a star tool in there. So you can just move that, pick your color up here. I still have to add the white layer here, but you'll know how to do that. So I'm going to move on to one more just to make this video a little bit faster. I'm going to make a new layer for this one, mainly, and I'm going to lock the layer below because I'm going to use a different technique on this. I'm going to be subtracting using the second shape mode. So this is, I'm going to start with the solid shape. So without the circle subtracted. So I'm going to pick a color. I'm going to pick a color so I can See the difference here? You can always change it at the end if you wanted to make it the Green Lantern color. So I have one, I'm going to copy, paste, move that down here so it's the same size. And then I want to go to my circle or ellipse tool. Again, I want to hold shift and click. And again, if I bring the opacity down, I can see through it. Opacity means, you know, how opaque it is, how solid, more transparent if you bring it down. But now that it's completely covered, I'm going to select them all. And first I'm going to merge them, or unite them. I should say unite, not merge, because that's a different thing. And then I'm going to make another circle in the middle. So again, I'm going to hold shift. Now I'm going to come back to my black arrow, select both objects, and I'm going to say minus the front. So it just took the center out of that. So now you can see right through it. So it cut a piece out. Okay, now I'm going to save this. Just make sure you always save your work with your name and title. So you can say icons. Make sure it saves to your desktop and not your downloads. And say OK. And that's it for this tool, the Pathfinder window.